By now, you've probably heard about the uproar about the worship services that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, is hosting at the Pentagon. This is problematic for a whole host of reasons when it comes to the separation of church and state. What made this service so remarkable is that the Secretary of Defense invited his personal pastor, Doug Wilson, to be the preacher, to speak to our men and women in uniform. And if you don't know who Doug Wilson is, he's a white Christian nationalist. This ideology is a threat to our democracy. Among the things that they believe is that our civic laws should be based on biblical laws, and that our laws should prefer and privilege white folks over all other people in society, in particular white Christians. If you don't believe me, just take a listen to this video and hear Doug Wilson in his own words.
Okay, since I am not a Christian, in a Christian, if you got your way and we have Christian nationalism, do I have the same rights as you?
There would be, yes, you'd have the same rights, but you wouldn't have the same privileges. So, for example, I mentioned earlier the ideal republic 500 years down the road. In a biblical republic that was explicitly Christian, there would be religious tests for office holders. Right. So if you came to America in 1800 and you were living in South Carolina, you wouldn't, as a Muslim, or as an atheist, actually, you wouldn't be allowed to hold public office. You couldn't be elected to the legislature, but you'd be allowed to live there.
Yeah. So
The problem with Doug Wilson and the problem with Pete Hegseth inviting him to speak is that it's clear that this administration and the leaders of this administration believe that white Christian nationalism should be the governing principle that guides the United States of America. This is a direct affront to the founding principles of our nation. So to invite avowed white Christian nationalism represents an existential threat to our government and the function of our government. Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out this week's episode of Faithful Witness with Terrence Carroll, where we'll spend more time talking about the separation of church and state. In the meantime, don't forget to tell the truth, seek justice, and love the people. This is Faithful Witness.